All right, let's call this meeting to order.
Thank you.
Our budget meeting. Russell, Deborah, if you can please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Mayor Veracruz?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Here.
Councilmember Albritton?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Great. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So this is our first budget hearing, and so we are kicking this off now. We'll have our regular council meeting starting at 7:30 this evening. Andy, if you could please read some of the administrative comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Tonight is our, as you acknowledged, our first public budget hearing. We will be having a presentation from Finance, and we will determine the final solid waste assessment and solid assessment this evening. We will have our first reading, first hearing on the village and the budget. Those will conclude second hearing on 23rd. Other than that, I just want to thank you all, the public, the advisory board, and the staff for the cooperation throughout a project that started internally back in February. But we're very pleased to be here. And I'm going to turn it over to Marty and Rich to go through the presentation. What we'll do tonight, though, unlike the budget workshop where we went through, we gave a full presentation, then we had a discussion. They'll be segmented tonight. So we'll start with solid waste. We'll do that presentation. We'll consider that item and then move on to the next part of the presentation.
Awesome.
And
Sounds
other
great.
than that, the boys from Finance, I turn it to you.
All right, Marty.
Thank you, Town Administrator Andy Burns. Welcome, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and residents of the Town of Southwest Ranches. My name is Marty Sherwood, your Town Financial Administrator. I have Rich Strong, the Controller, with me tonight. As Andy mentioned, we have a four-part agenda that deals with the final solid waste assessment rate adoption, the final fire assessment rate adoption, and then we have our first public hearing as it relates to our millage adoption and budget adoption. Little housekeeping for anyone in the audience. I have PowerPoint copies up on the desk. We have budget copies on the website. For the camera, I'll just point out, but I'll look on the website. If anyone wanted to review that in detail. We'll go over next our calendar of events. First, of course, is our council, our present council, and town administration. Our calendar events, as Andy mentioned, we started this back in February, March, the full adopted calendar, but this primarily is a recap now of our public hearing items and what's left and remaining. We had our preliminary millage and initial fire solid waste assessments on July 29th. On August 17th, we had our workshop, very informative, gave us insight for our final proposed rates tonight. Tonight is our final fire protection and solid waste special assessment, and also our first public hearing for the tentative millage and budget adoption. After tonight will be some advertising you will note in the Miami Herald or Sun Sentinel, and then our final public hearing will be on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021 at 6 p.m. That will be the second public hearing, and it'll be right before our regularly scheduled agenda meeting for September. First, we'll go into the summary. These are the recap of everything we're going to cover tonight. I'm not going to rehash what our current rates are. Push the button again because on the heading, thank you. The heading on the left, you'll note, is our adopted current year, fiscal year 21 rates and fees. And on the right side is our proposed fiscal year 2022 rates and fees. Our total combined millage is no change to our total millage rate. Our fire assessment as reduced is a $60.86 increase as it relates to our residential dwelling units from fiscal year 21. And our solid waste, which we're going to cover first, is proposed at no change throughout all residential parcel lot sizes. And this will be our third consecutive year of no rate increase. Going right into our solid waste. First, if you would like to read a resolution, can I ask at this time to have the town clerk read into resolution agenda item number 5, so we could get that memorialized, and then we could continue with the PowerPoint.
Yes, please, thank you.
Okay, this is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, relating to the provision of solid waste services, facilities, and programs to residential properties in the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, for fiscal year 2021 through 2022, commencing October 1st, 2021. Providing authority for solid waste services assessments, providing purpose and definitions, providing findings, incorporating the solid waste special assessment methodology report, providing for an exemption for veterans, service-connected, total or permanent disability, approving the assessment rule, and providing an effective date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we want to take a motion on that at this point? Okay.
Yes,
We have
please,
a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. We're going to move into the background as it relates to the solid waste assessment. It's permitted by Florida Statute Chapters 197.3632, and our annual rate establishment is required by Town Ordinance 2002-08. We got a recap schedule. That is our proposed rates for 21-22 with no changes from 2021. You will see on the far right corner, all zeros, that is no change from year to year. Now, with the background, we wanted to mention that for 21-22, we proudly propose no changes in all residential categories. This occurred due to successful management and legal negotiation, which obtained a permanently reduced bulk disposal maximum generation factor and a fixed contractual residential disposal rate, while our contractual adjustments from our fuel and CPI indices primarily off each other. So it also reflects our town council's subsidy of no rate subsidy for next fiscal year. And the important thing to emphasize is as compared to fiscal year 2012, the total increase overall is less than 8%. That is actually a less than 1% increase annually per year over the past 10 years. With that, I'd like to turn it back to you, Mayor, to open it up for public comment, questions, and any comments, direction from town council. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it. Before we open up to the public, is there any comments or questions from the council? Looks like we're good. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none. Good. Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Marty?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we're on item number 6. I ask the clerk to please read the resolution in place, please.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing findings, providing purpose, providing for provision and funding of fire protection services, providing for imposition and computation of fire protection assessments, providing legislative determinations of special benefit and fair apportionment, approving the final fire services assessment rates and final rule relating to the provision of fire protection services, facilities, and programs in the town for fiscal year 2021 through 2022, confirming an exemption for veterans with service-connected total and permanent disability, providing for effective adoption of resolution, providing for application of assessment proceeds, providing for conflicts and severability, and providing an effective date.
Great, thank you, Russell. Is there a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on slide number 10, moving to 11 with the introduction to our fire assessment rates. The fire assessment methodology has been updated from the prior year with council and community input, comprised of a 2021 consultant study, and also the fire category rates have been reduced to reflect input received from council at the August 17th, 2021 budget workshop. We're also going to give you and present our proposed and actual rates history, a 3-year history by category, and then we're going to compare our municipal rates to other entities in Broward County. This fire assessment is permitted by Florida Statute Chapters 166.021 and 166.041 and is adopted by Town Ordinance 2001-09. 2001-09 also requires that the annual rate be established each fiscal year. And our resolution 2021-066 adopted a new fire assessment methodology impacting all categories due to changes in applicable fire protection costs and from the most recent 5 years rolling average of response data. And it blended the commercial, institutional, warehouse, and industrial categories. So this is our graph of our 3-year history, along with our proposed fiscal year 22 for the residential and acreage categories. These are 2 of the 5. The next slide will show the other 3, but what we've done here is we presented on the right-hand side with the 3-year historical, our initial proposed fiscal year 22 as initially proposed, and on the far right we'll show our fiscal year 22 final proposed that's being presented to you tonight. The residential rate is $690. Our acreage is $75.96. The next slide is our 3 combined blended categories of our commercial, institutional, and industrial warehouse. The 3-year history is also presented, along with our initial proposed fiscal year 22 with our final proposed 2022 at 0.8314. That's 83.14 cents per building square footage. Now the reason for the increase all pertains to our changes in our call distribution. And you will note that the 5-year rolling average percentage change, I've only needed to highlight the residential other area, and you will see that utilizing a new 5-year rolling average had a much greater response as it relates to the residential category, fire category. So that's the major reason for the increase. Moving to our Broward County municipal comparisons, we're going to show you the fact that a number of municipalities subsidize the fire protection assessment costs with property tax, general fund revenue. Actually, several do not even assess a fire protection assessment and therefore fund 100% from their general fund revenue. The numbers provided to the Broward County property appraiser are here for cost comparisons, and they are not truly reflective of 100% full cost recovery for fire protection. For example, Davie, Sunrise, and Cooper City has indicated that their initial fire assessment represents only 50, 70, and 75% respectively. You will note that some municipalities have unchanged assessment, and they're likely subsidizing their fire operations, or in the case of a shortfall, utilizing general fund balance to fund their fire capital projects. And lastly, the Southwest Ranches initially proposed and initially adopted an increase of approximately 21%, or $135.50 per residential unit. But this has been reduced and is now at a proposed 9.7% increase, or $60.86 per residential unit. Here is our chart, our ranking of all those that assess a fire assessment within the municipal boundaries. We are, as compared from last year to this year, $690, it's a 9.67%. And then what I did highlight, and you will see throughout, some have no changes, but some have dramatic increases. And those increases, one being Cooper City, number 13, going to the next slide, Dania Beach, 15, and numbers 22, 23 have percentage increases that exceed the town of Southwest Ranches. So those I've highlighted on the slides to indicate those that have greater increases than the town of Southwest Ranches. That's all I have for tonight. Going back to the mayor.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Marty. Any questions for Marty on the fire assessment? Is there any public comment on the fire assessment? Please come up and state your name and...
Yeah, my name is Josue Lopez.
If you could come up to the mic, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Josue Lopez. I live in 5110 Southwest 173rd Way.
Well,
Quick question. In the notice of proposed property taxes, as I see an increase of 135, which is the amount that the gentleman referred as the original proposal, but it was later changed.
that's correct.
So it means that this is not 100% updated, right?
That's correct. Yes, is there any other comments?
That is my comment.
Okay,
Is
perfect.
my question.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Yeah, just to answer your question, so when we go through this process, we set what we anticipate would be the highest level we would need originally to give us, and then we continue to work the process and see if there are ways to reduce it. In this case, we came up with some ideas here. Councilmember Jablonski came up with a great idea where we were able to lower that. And so we were able to lower it, and so it's actually lower than what's on your trim notification, but your actual taxes will be lower.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be above last year, but lower than what was reported here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing no further comment, Russell, if you could please call the question.
Sir, the mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Krasinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Item number 7.
Yeah, Mayor,
Okay, thank you, Andy. I turn it back to Andy, town
Yeah,
administrator.
thank you, Marty. Mayor, I have a disclaimer that I need
Okay.
to read into the record tonight.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Florida statute, chapter 200.065, section 2, paragraph E1, the first item to be discussed tonight is the percentage increase in millage over the rollback rate and why. For fiscal year 2021-2022, the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida is considering a levy equal to its current millage rate of 4.2500 mils, which is considered a 4.93% increase over the rollback rates of 4.0504. However, fiscal year 2022 eligible Save Our Homes exemption property owners, their change in net taxable value will not exceed 1.4%. This increase results primarily from higher contractual costs pertaining to the 5th year of the 5-year public safety services contract for both police and fire rescue, as well as funding for new and or ongoing capital improvement projects from the proposed budget book. Additionally, this budget provides for the funding of multiple program modifications, including quality of life and service level improvements, public safety, parks, recreation and open spaces, and other transportation capital improvements. It is noted that no millage funding is proposed for the town's roadway surface refacing and drainage projects through the Transportation Surface Drainage Ongoing Rehabilitation Capital Improvement Program, also known as TISGRO, both surtax and non-surtax funding, as the Mobility Advancement Programs awards and utilization of committed fund balances, respectively, are budgeted. Therefore, the total millage for operating purposes is 4.2500 mil. After numerous advisory board meetings, council discussions, and a budget workshop, the revised budget totals $21,462,582. This includes a general fund budget totaling $14,330,301, just over half of which provides for police, fire protection, and rescue services. A capital projects funds budget totaling $267,450 to not just maintain facilities, but also improve our public safety, as well as our parks, recreation, and open space infrastructure. Special revenue funds budget comprising the transportation fund totaling $3,912,124 to maintain as well as improve streets, roadways, and drainage, and the volunteer fire fund totaling $237,354. A debt service fund budget totaling $1,004,741, which provides for 1 year of principal and interest payments on existing loans, as well as for migration towards debt freedom due to the town's recent favorable Series 2021 refinance. And finally, an enterprise fund comprised of the solid waste, bulk waste, and recycling utilities budget totaling $1,710,612. The millage rate and budget require 2 public hearings. The initial hearing is tonight, with the final hearing and adoption scheduled for Thursday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. Thank you, Mayor. Turn it back to you, and we can read item 7 into the record.
Great, thank you, Andy, appreciate that. Russell?
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving and adopting the tentative millage rate for taxation of real property lying within the boundaries of the Town of Southwest Ranches for the 2021 through 2022 fiscal year, commencing October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion on this?
Make a motion to adopt as read.
Second. Thank you. Marty?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we're on part 3, item number 7. Our tentative millage rate, our first public hearing. We're going to cover a little introduction. A few items we'll cover by graphs tonight on the PowerPoint. Our municipal rates will be compared. We're going to provide you with the Southwest Ranches historical and proposed total millage rates. And then we're going to have a chart of our Southwest Ranches millage percent to our overall total direct and overlapping millage as it relates to the total taxes you pay versus what is only attributable to the Town of Southwest Ranches. Currently, our millage rate comparison is that the total operating rate is the 5th lowest total combined rate among all Broward County municipalities. This rate for fiscal year 2022 retains the relative position of Southwest Ranches to 5th lowest of 31 municipalities. According to the relative position of Southwest Ranches among Broward County municipalities still remains within approximately the upper 16th percentile. There are 26 municipalities, or almost 84%, that are proposing total millage rates higher than Southwest Ranches for fiscal year 21-22. Here is a comparison of our rate as it ranks with all municipalities. You will see no change between our current actual rate. This is our total actual operating and debt millage rate of 4.25. There are some, as you will see on the next page, that are mostly in the 6, 7, 8, 9, and one that exceeds 10 mils of total operating and debt service millage. Our chart of the Southwest Ranches historic and proposed total millage rate, we have our eagle back to present. That is an eagle with the SWR insignia on it. You will see stability as it relates, basically, all 6 years as presented across the line. So we're very proud of that eagle. Keep flying the sky in Southwest Ranches. Now we're going to move to our direct and overlapping rates. The next chart will show you, and I want all the taxpayers to realize, the total millage rate when you add the town of Southwest Ranches component totals 17.2649 mils. The Southwest Ranches component of 4.25 is less than 25%. So you will note from this that of the total taxes you pay as it relates to ad valorem, less than 25% is directly attributable to the town of Southwest Ranches. The other 75% go to multiple combined sources as indicated on the screen. I won't read each one. Our combined mill rate history, you will note over the past several course of years, the proposed will be a total lower rate from the current rate. So that's something very proud to show all the residents that based on your, of course, your taxable value, your total taxes would be less if you retain the same taxable assessed rate for next year at 17.2649. That's all my presentations for tonight. Turn it back to the mayor for public comment and discussion. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mark. Is there any council comment on the presentation? Seeing none, any public comments? Hey, Newell.
Good evening. Noel Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I'd like to thank Marty, better known as Moneybags, for doing such a fine job with his staff, taking care of all of our chump change. We had a couple of questions though, and it's mainly informational and educational on my part. If you take a look at page 33, for the new engineering inspector, down at the next to the last bullet point, it says inspects all work pertaining to drainage according to plans and specifications. How about adding into that as to the homeowner's wastewater disposal being too close to wells, which we have had those issues taken care of. And we've also had the drainage problem where CAP does not inspect, say, a driveway being put in. They look to see the steel is in, and they sign off before the concrete's poured and the final grading is done. And therefore, water is going into neighbors' properties. All of this should be part of it, or this should not be funded. Because if they're going to take care of drainage according to plans and specifications, the specifications are set forth by the drainage districts. And if they're not taken care of, and then you hear afterwards, well, it's already signed off, so it must be right. And people have lots of problems because the septic tanks are put too close to the wellheads of the neighbors. And this is just one, and also you've got fill from the construction of driveways right up against fences, 2-3 foot high. So all the water from the driveway does not flow to the back in our drainage district out west, but goes into the neighbor's yard. If it's not going to be part of it, do not fund it. Because all you're doing then is empire building. And we need to have transparency as to what they're going to do. So that needs to be put in here and say that is one of their primary responsibilities, along with their other responsibilities. So Then, going on to the tin store. I was sort of amazed that it's costing us $342,000 per mile to build a road, to resurface our roads. 370 is what it costs on a brand new mile of road. All we're doing supposedly is resurfacing. How come 342 versus 370, which is brand new road, where you've got to demuck and fill and everything else? Why is it so much? Question. Maybe someone can answer that. The increase in customer service staff, administrative assistant. I'd like some information why that is being done. I can understand if it is, and not being available to have, can I continue?
Yes.
Not being able to continue to have volunteers because of the COVID. But once COVID is over, I'd like to see it go back to that and that person be used somewhere else. The anniversary celebration, yes, I'd love to see that happen. I don't believe it's going to happen this year. So, not unless we get the rate down miraculously in the next month or two, because that's worse than what we canceled last year on. So, just want to see some transparency, and getting 3 new employees seems to me a little bit of empire building, and like to see some answers on those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Any other public comments? Seeing none. Andy, maybe you can speak to one, and Rob, maybe you can speak.
Probably speak to a few of them.
Okay, good.
Just a couple of things. While Mr. Hollingsworth brings up some good points, I thank him for going through the budget and sharing his thoughts with us. I will tell you that the inspector will work under the Public Works Director. So what's in there in the funding is not, that's not all that person will do. Every job description we have, every single one of us also includes other duties as assigned. So this person will work under the direction of Public Works Director, and it'll be up to Rod to make certain that all those tasks that need to be done are done. So this is not a hard and fast list necessarily, but this was to explain to you part of what we need the position for. So I'm very comfortable that the things that need to be done will be done. What the person will not be doing though is Department of Health work, and those wells and locations of septic and wells is the jurisdiction of the Department of Health. It's not the town's jurisdiction. So just wanted to be clear on that. As far as road expense and the cost, I would let Rod speak to that. The cost of service of the customer service staff, we're hard pressed. We need more help. We're limited now. It's one of the reasons why we're still open from 8:30 till noon and not in the afternoon. I do need more support staff to help out. It's a part-time position. It's very inexpensive. And while it would be nice to go back to volunteers, the volunteers were unreliable even before COVID, and we had a lot of difficulty staffing them. So rather than make the front desk position where Grinnell is in the morning a full-time position, we thought the town would be better served economically by having 2 part-time positions who could counterbalance each other and won't cost us the benefits and those things that a full-time person would cost. And last but not least, the anniversary celebration, we all hope to have that. You know, we're approving a millage rate and a budget for kickoff October 1st to go through September 30th of next year. None of us know what those numbers are going to do, and I'll sit here and tell you I'm going to be optimistic and hope that this might be viable. I mean, I would imagine every one of you saw it at some point, at least some football this weekend, the college and the pros. I mean, every stadium was full. I don't know where that's going to go, but I would certainly hope that as this fiscal year plays out, that we'll have the opportunity to do something else. So those are the issues I wanted to touch on. I don't know if Rob wants to add to the road expense, just to help share some of that. That's the cost of the cost.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I don't exactly know where those figures came from, right? So if I were to give you a full comprehensive answer as to what the expenses are, I'd have to look at them. I'd have to do my own breakdown and analysis as well. So, I mean, potentially it could have been new roadways in areas that don't have development, areas where there's no real traffic and OT issues that they're just connecting. I just don't know. So if you want me to do some kind of analysis, I can do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I think what it sounds like is we were just trying to give a ballpark of what that was, and it may not be 100% accurate, which I think is kind of what Bill's point was, so I think we're in agreement.
Yeah, and to add to his point, our bids are definitely going up. I mean, so everything that we've seen on the drainage side and the TISR side, all our bids are going up as well. So I know construction is definitely it's going up.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Rob. All right. Any other comments from the council? Yeah, Dave.
Just a quick question, Andy. I remember when we had our meeting regarding the budget, and just want to clarify that because of mandates from both the state and the federal government, we got additional burdens on our administration. That is my understanding, correct?
I'm trying to remember the specifics of that conversation.
Well, we were looking at additional personnel.
Oh, for example, yes, certainly on a public works standpoint.
Exactly.
Because we have that thank you. Because we have that surtax funding, the reporting requirements and the hoops that we need to jump through have become more onerous as time has gone on. And so that's taking more time for both Emily and for Rob to keep up with those. Which makes it difficult for him to go out and do the inspections because he doesn't have time to do that follow-up that needs to be done. So thank you.
One follow-up, and that would be classified as an unfunded mandate.
Well, we're obtaining funding for the project.
From the
But yes, the county is imposing those requirements upon us, saying if you want this funding, this is what you will do. And those rules have changed.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman.
Great, thank you. All right, Russell, do you please call the question?
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, item number 8.
Item number 8 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the budget of the Town of Southwest Ranches for fiscal year 2021 through 2022, commencing October 1st, 2021, and ending September 30th, 2022. Providing for a budget basis, providing for expenditure of funds, providing for carryover of funds, providing for notice, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any council comment on this? Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark. Ball's in your court.
Okay, yes, I'm going to take this
All
portion
right,
of it.
thank you, Rich.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last portion of this budget meeting, which is the fiscal year 2022 tentative budget adoption and the first public hearing. This first item of discussion, or this first slide, we will discuss the general fund revenues by function and where they come from. We currently have $14,330,301 in the proposed budget revenues for fiscal year 2022. Where do these funds come from? $6,798,011, which makes up 47% of the total revenue, come from the ad valorem property tax. $2,546,708, which makes up 18% of the total revenues, come from the special assessment revenue. This is our fire assessment revenue. $1,892,417, which makes up 13% of the total revenue, is our franchise and utility taxes. $1,458,201, which makes up 10% of our total revenue, comes from permitting and licensing. The remaining revenues, which makes up a total of 12%, is the intergovernmental revenue and other services revenue. This next slide, we will discuss the general fund expenditures and where they go towards. We currently have the same $14,330,301 proposed budgeted expenditures as we did revenues. As you can see, a majority, or $7,577,375, or 53% of the expenses goes towards public safety, which is our contractual obligation for the Davie Fire and Davie Police. The next largest expense is the general government, $2,669,455, or 19%, mostly consisting of our in-house departments, including legislative, executive, legal, finance, and town clerk. We also have general fund transfers of $1,881,913, which makes up 13% of the total. And the remaining three expenditures of where these funds go is a total of 15%, consisting of the physical environment, our parks, recreation, and open spaces department, and community services. Here we have our 6 general budget assumptions for fiscal year 2022. We have a summary document, which is on a fund-by-fund basis. We're keeping our rates as low as possible while meeting our costs. No additional borrowing. We have conservative projections for both the revenue and expenses under a COVID-19 pandemic environment. We maintain our service levels while addressing council policies as well as priorities. And our ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan, funding not budgeted. However, ARPA projects are in development. This next slide, we will go through our program modifications funded for proposed fiscal year 2022. As you will see on this slide, this slide and the next being our volunteer fire department, that we have a total of 12 different program modifications. I won't go through all of them, but you can see them there. Also, as you can see, is that 6 of these program mods will have no millage impact for the town of Southwest Ranches in fiscal year 2022. So half of them won't have a millage impact. And then lastly, we will go through our capital improvement projects funded for proposed fiscal year 2022. As you will see on this slide, we have a total of 9 capital projects proposed. Of these 9 capital projects, 8 of them will not have any millage impact to them, with the only exception being the drainage improvement project, which is a non-surtax project. And this is all I have, Mayor. Now open up for questions or comments.
Great, thank you, Rich. Appreciate the presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. All right, Russell, will you please call the question?
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albrecht?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Awesome, very good.
Thank you
all.
very much.